Hollins. Hey, Ryan.
What up, man?
Good
to see you.
What's going on? I'm no longer the tallest person on set.
No, you are not.
Ryan Hollins becomes the second tallest guest we've ever had, behind only David Robinson.
What about
David Robinson might not be a footer now.
Oh, Shaq, you're right.
Shaq,
Shaq. My bad, Jenna. I forgot about Shaq.
How tall are you?
I'm 7 feet, man. Legit 7 feet.
7'1", man. I'm telling you.
The Admiral 7'1"?
Yeah, man.
I thought he was about like 6'10".
Funny that NBA players always have a little...
he's an NBA 7 feet. That's
throws on a few inches or take off a few inches.
Good to see you, man.
The NBA's putting their best foot forward tonight with the much-anticipated matchup of the Rockets and Clippers. Russ and Harden against Paul George and maybe even Kawhi Leonard, if we're lucky. Rockets in third place out west, Clippers right behind him. And while it is still early, we could learn a lot after tonight. Ryan, let's start with you. Which of these teams has a better chance of winning the West? Clippers or Rockets?
This is by far the Clippers. I thought this was like a trick question. Was this like, where were the Lakers involved in this? And I know you're fired up. Ultimately, I know the Rockets won their first matchup. And I know that, the Clippers were a little off. But ultimately, this Clippers team is still built for success. You're not seeing the best basketball from the Clippers so far. And there's 3 reasons why you have to believe in the Clippers as far as a championship contender. 1, they're versatile. They can guard multiple defenders. Kawhi, Paul George, Harkless. There's a number of guys who can go. Patrick Beverly. We can go down the list. 2nd, they can close out basketball games. Chris, you know it. At the biggest stages in the playoffs, it's one with star power. Paul George can go out and get you a big shot. We don't need to question Kawhi Leonard, and Lou Williams will hit the big one, and Patrick Beverly will make the shots after shot when needed. Now, let's look at the Rockets. I like the Rockets. I appreciate their duo, but they're a bit of a wild card if we're talking about contenders, because you got to question Russell Westbrook, my little brother, his outside shooting. Clint Capella, when they start switching things later in the playoffs, how effective is he going to be? And guys like P.J. Tucker who can play, but is P.J. Tucker going to hit enough shots to beat you? So if we're talking about actually coming out of the Western Conference, I don't give that to the Rockets quite yet, Nick.
So here's why it's not a trick question and why I totally disagree with you. Is these two teams are actually much more similar than people give them credit for. They are both teams that have an outstanding top 5. Now, it's not always their starting 5, like Lou Williams comes off the bench. But the Clippers' top 5 of Paul George, Kawhi, Trez Harrell, Lou Williams, Patrick Beverly, that'll be their closing 5. That is an outstanding top 5. The Rockets' top 5 of Russ, Harden, Eric Gordon, when he gets back, he just had knee surgery, so you have to understand with the Rockets, whatever they've been, Eric Gordon before the year clearly had the knee injury, was playing terribly, had the knee surgery, and we haven't seen him at full strength this season. P.J. Tucker, who is the #1 corner three-point shooter over the NBA in the last 3 years, including this season. And then Clint Capella, who happens to be playing the best basketball of his life, 5 straight 20-rebound games. And after those 5, yeah, a lot of question marks. I know the Clippers got some good names in Harkless and Landry Shamet and Patrick Patterson, but up to this point, those guys have not produced. Up to this point, all those guys are struggling this season. JaMychal Green also add him to that list. So 5v5, it's very close. But here's what I know.
How about playoff 5v5?
Yeah,
You're talking regular season 5v5.
Absolutely.
No.
In playoff 5v5. So Paul George, as great as he was last regular season, the last few playoffs, his play has fallen off. Similar, by the way, to Russell Westbrook's. So then it's a Harden versus...
What system they playing?
Well, in OKC is your point?
Freelance, wide open, no discipline.
Well, but the problem is with the Clippers the problem with the Clippers is twofold. One is it is projection entirely because we've never seen them play together. And the other one is we know, for good or for bad, James Harden is going to be there in the postseason. We have no idea what's going on with Kawhi Leonard. Are you confident Kawhi's going to play tonight? Because I'm not. He played 1 game in a week, and he was out of gas by the 4th quarter. He played last Wednesday against the Rockets. They lost. You're right. 1 game does not make a season. Let's pretend that didn't even happen. And then this past Wednesday night in the great game against Boston, he played 22 minutes in the first 3 quarters after not playing a week of basketball and was out of gas by the 4th quarter in overtime. What is going on with Kawhi Leonard is the biggest question in the NBA right now. And to say that he's going to be fine come the playoffs, I have no evidence of that, Cam.
Well, he might not be fine come the playoffs, but I mean, as long as he's going to be available for him, they're still going to be a contending team. I mean, we saw it last year. He was dealing with something in the playoffs, but there was no better individual player throughout the entire playoffs last year than Kawhi Leonard. You saw the difference that he was able to make hitting that shot over Joel Embiid to help his team advance to the next series. But, I mean, in looking at his imprint on this Clippers team, you saw it in the Wednesday night game against the Boston Celtics. He has the dunk where he's literally hanging on the rim, and then he blocks Kemba Walker's last-second three-point attempt. So Kawhi has shown that even with whatever he's dealing with, he can still have an impact on the game. Now, Wednesday also happened to be the first time that we saw him and Paul George on the court for the first time. And you just have to think that throughout the course of this season, this team will develop their chemistry on the defensive end. And for me, if you're trying to come out of the Western Conference, that's where it has to start. When you look at what LeBron and AD are doing with the Lakers, it's the best defensive team in the league. I mean, in order to be able to compete with those guys, you are going to have to be able to stop somebody. That's why I'm hesitant to say that the Rockets really have a shot at being able to be the team to come out of this Western Conference, just because the Clippers, and I know it's projection, but the Clippers, because of their versatility on the defensive side, and the Lakers have a better shot because they can stop people from scoring.
Nick, I'd be lying to you if I told you I wasn't concerned with Kawhi's knee. But what makes me feel confident is that Kawhi gets to that stage in an athlete's career where you know your body. You know, if I give it 110% before a back-to-back, I'm not going to be too good to you later on. He knows he's got to manage his way through the season. He's already come in, Chris, with a plan of, hey, I'm going to load manage. Who cares what anybody else thinks? Now, ultimately, when he's played, I agree, he hasn't been that impressive, but I want to see Kawhi late in June. I want to see him in the playoffs. I'm not necessarily looking to see Kawhi Leonard now. Now, as far as matching up in the playoffs, you brought up Eric Gordon. If Eric Gordon is playing a small forward position for you against a large, dynamic, sizable Clippers team, that's going to be a problem.
So let me address both those points quickly. One is about as long as he performs in May and June, then the regular season won't matter. And I think that's mostly correct. The problem for the Clippers is going into the year, we knew there were 5 outstanding teams in the Western Conference. The Lakers, the Clippers, the Nuggets, who were the 2 seed last year, the Houston Rockets, who add Russ in place of Chris Paul, and the Jazz, who might have had the best offseason of anyone, not including the teams that added superstars. Adding Conley, adding Boyan, adding
Jeff Green.
Right, and so their starting 5, even though Conley didn't play well to start the year, is out. One of those teams is done after the first round. So the importance of getting a top 3 seed going into the year, I thought was incredibly high. I'm now going to say the importance of getting a top 2 seed, because that 6 seed's going to be the Dallas Mavericks. And the Dallas Mavericks are not going to beat whoever the 3 seed is, but they might have the best player on the court come the playoffs in Luka Doncic. So are the Clippers, by the time they get to the Lakers or the Rockets in the playoffs, if they get there, having probably started the playoffs on the road, if Kawhi's going to play 60-some games, are they going to have expended too much? And the other point is this, because I think the biggest reason people would like the Clippers over the Rockets is, well, Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs versus James Harden in the playoffs. Show Kawhi won Finals MVP last year, right? That's him against the Golden State Warriors. Now, it was a lesser version of the Golden State Warriors with the Warriors. That's a hell of a line. The guy on the right is better in everything but rebounds, right? Better shooting percentage even, more points, more assists. Who's the guy on the right? That's in the playoffs against the full-strength Golden State Warriors. So much of narratives, full strength until late in Game 5 when KD goes down. So much of the narrative is based on who won, not necessarily based on how well guys produced. People look at what Kawhi did in the finals as heroic, and that James Harden choked again. James Harden was objectively better against a tougher Warriors team in round 2 than Kawhi was in the NBA Finals, and we throw it out because the Rockets lost again. That, to me, is not necessarily a fair indicator of who's going to be better come this
Real quick, here's the difference. Kawhi Leonard is going to give you that in a Game 7 with a game winner. He's going to close that bad boy out, okay? James Harden, we haven't seen it yet. I'm a big James guy. If we want to talk about who's the best player in the NBA right now, I would say arguably is James Harden the last 13 games, averaging about 40 points a game. I wouldn't question that. But we're talking playoffs, Chris? I'm going Kawhi Leonard. It's star power. And if there's a team that I would have to worry about or try to, shake, I would worry about Harden, okay, because the star player in the playoffs. That's a team you wouldn't want to match up with. But I'm not scared about Utah, Denver, Nuggets, whoever.
Yeah, Harden can score at will. I mean, nobody's taking that away from him. I mean, in terms of being able to score the basketball, he might be the best in the NBA right now. But in terms of a player having that clutch factor and a guy that you trust, I'm going to go with the guy that already has 2 finals MVPs with 2 different
Talk
teams.
to him. Come on, Chris.
I'm going to go with the guy who I know is actually going to play. And once I know Kawhi's going to play, listen, he's played 5 games in the month of November. He's shooting 35% this month, with as much rest as anyone could have.
Well, you're questioning playing in the playoffs or regular season?
I'm questioning what his health is going to be for the rest of his career. That's right now what is in question to me, and I think we have underrated how good that Raptors depth was last year, and we're seeing it with how good they've been throughout this regular season.
That's true. Fair.
All right, settled that one. Ryan, we'll see you a little bit later on the show.